I'm just moving to our first question for today. Okay. Hi Kumar. I hope you are all set to have a discussion today.
Yep. Thanks for the introduction, Shankar. I'm really excited to continue the conversation that we left out last week. And it is probably because I was speaking or taking too much time that we couldn't finish on time and we have to do it again. And before we go ahead and start today's session, I just want to get confirmation from the people on who are listening. Thank you for your time, first of all, for making time. Can you hear me clearly? Just to give a thumbs up on your chat window, +1. I can hear you so that we can go ahead and continue today's session because I don't want to have last week's audio issues happening either from our side, either of our side.
Great. Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to wait for a minute for people to respond on the chat. I see some 30 plus people are there. I'm just expecting some responses from few of them.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Let's get
Okay.
started.
Yes. Great. All right. Okay. Many people are saying they could able to hear loud and clear. All right, Kumar. My next question is today I'm going to talk about security and cost optimization. That is where I would like to know little more things on the AWS architect point of view. Okay, so let's start today's question with have you faced any major security incidents when you are working with the cloud? If so, what kind of incidents you have faced and how you can able to come across with those?
Okay, that is a very interesting question, actually speaking, because last week I might have informed people that I've been working on AWS at least for 5 years.
Hmm.
And why I bring it up again is in those 5 years, I personally have witnessed at least 3 to 4 account level compromises. What
Hmm.
do I mean by that is somebody has taken over the AWS account and started launching EC2 instances in all the regions up to the maximum limit allowed in that account. For example, a particular incident that happened in my own account about 5 years back was at that time each region can launch about 20 instances of different sizes. So by the time I found out within 5 minutes, there were like 200 instances running in all the 10 availability regions or that many regions that was available at the time. So within 5 minutes, the account had those many instances, and the bill was running up around a few lakhs by the time.
Oh.
By the time I got a call from Amazon saying that there is some unusual behavior, all these things have happened. This is all running, and the account is generating a bill.
Hmm.
So it is very very important to put in controls and measures so that this kind of things will not happen. And I'm not saying this is a rare incident because this is something that happened 5 years ago, and I'm sure you and me have another story where another account of another customer got compromised, and we were working on that. And this is not so rare. Even about 4 months back, one of my enterprise customers had their GitHub had their keys committed in GitHub.
Oh.
And when we inquired what has happened, the engineer who was involved said, "I accidentally committed the access keys and secret keys in my code, and within a few minutes, it was picked up by Amazon automation as well as by a hacker."
Oh.
So by the time by the time when a hacker was trying to do some suspicious activity, the Amazon automation picked up and said, "Hey, there is some behavior like your access keys in GitHub. It is publicly accessible. Do you want to take action? We have already quarantined these keys." So
Hmm.
now now you can see the Amazon is also trying to help customers, and at the same time customers also need to go to a level where they don't do these kind of things. Of course, there are automation is available, but we'll talk about it later on how we can avoid this. In short, security issues are always waiting to happen, and they do happen. It is just that you need to be aware of what you need to do and how you can defend from those kind of scenarios. And
Oh.
yeah, Yep.
Yep, go on,
Let
go
us
on.
talk about the remaining part. No, there are some solutions. I did some videos on that that is also available in Valaxy. I thought I'll share it, but we'll talk about it in the coming sections.
Yeah, yep, that's great. So yep, with this one, so usually security incidents, even I came across one of the customer, I can say, who reach out to the Valaxy, and he said that somebody deleted his instances which are there in the account. Okay, so even I was reluctant to do some investigation because it is already hacked, and if we involved, it may cause to the some other issue. So we asked to reach out to the Amazon to take the help. Okay, anyway,
Yep.
that's good. So it's kind of a common responsibility, you mean to say. So from the customer side as well as the AWS side, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. If I want to borrow the terminology that Amazon uses,
Hmm.
it is called a shared responsibility model,
Okay.
meaning the data center operating not operating system, at least the servers, the access to the servers, all those things are maintained by Amazon. That is
Mm.
security of the cloud. And
Okay.
security in the cloud, that is what Amazon calls it, like what applications you run, how do you configure your applications, how do you patch your applications or operating systems. Are you running vulnerable code? This is the responsibility of the customer.
Hmm.
Like, for example, the data center might be secure, the instance might be secure, but if you open port 22 to the entire world and have admin as username and password, then you are inviting everybody to try and take over your system.
Okay.
So you need to configure your systems to be secure. So there is only certain part your service provider can do. So this is the shared responsibility model that you are referring to, that Amazon also uses in communicating, saying, I can do certain things, you need to do certain things. Let us build a secure cloud.
Okay. Great. Yep. So with that context, what kind of services in AWS will help us to improve our security?
Uh, that is a very good question. I try to answer this question in one of my courses in Udemy, actually speaking. I'm not trying to market here. The
Hmm.
way that I approach it is defense in depth,
Okay.
meaning every layer of your application, you need to have defenses. For example, if you take at the edge of your network, your VPC layer, then you can think of having a web application firewall, for example.
Hmm.
Or even even you can put a CloudFront, because CloudFront has natively DDoS protection, as well as it has a huge network of edge cache servers, and it is almost impossible to take down CloudFront. If you're
Okay.
throwing DDoS attack on CloudFront, basically you're taking down internet itself. So let us say you have CloudFront at the very beginning, and then you can also have a web application firewall configured on your CloudFront, meaning what happens at a web application firewall is a certain type of botnet traffic can be stopped by using an IP address, bad IP list. Like, we know bad actors will have come from a certain range of IP addresses, or a certain country that you want to block, or maybe they use a particular code. Like, for example, hackers have some tools and utilities, right? The toolkits are there.
Mm.
So you want to stop those toolkit. Those toolkits will have some headers, HTTP headers. So you
Okay.
look into the headers and you block this traffic. Or certain botnets will have some signatures. Certain bots will have a certain patterns of traffic. So based on that, your web application firewall can stop all those incoming requests.
Hmm.
And taking one step deeper into the flow. So from the edge, the traffic is coming in, filtered from the CloudFront, filtered from your WAF, it is coming in. Of course, I'm just skipping the global accelerator. There are a few other high-end extreme use cases or very wide use cases. Let us skip that for a moment. Then you have this a VPC layer.
Mm.
At the VPC layer, you have multiple tools available for you. For example, you have the NACLs, a network access control list, at subnet level.
Mm.
So you open only certain IP addresses to reach your subnets. So you have configuration capabilities and flexibility there. And within your network access control list, you have security groups for your instances, whether it is a container or a Lambda function or a virtual machine. You have security groups. You only allow certain ports and
Hmm.
certain protocols, and also from certain IP addresses only. You allow only these things. So by default, security is deny all. Then you go ahead and say, I want to open my web server for port 80 only from my load balancer, or I want to open port 22 only from my Bastion host. So this way you allow only certain ports and every other traffic gets blocked. Now let us say your traffic has come all the way from your CloudFront to the load balancer to the NACL and then to the security group, and finally it's reaching the instance.
Yes.
So now at this point, you have a lot of other controls, right? Your application will have some authorization and authentication. If it is a web server application, you authenticate that person with
Hmm.
an identity server. Assuming, let us not talk about a web server which is public access. Let us say a private application. Even today, even if you're using Facebook, you need to log into Facebook to use certain services, right? Not everything is available if you don't log in. And
True.
sometimes Facebook also pops up with a login message if you keep on browsing without logging in. So that is
Hmm.
how you authenticate an user. When you authenticate an user, you know who that person is, where they are coming from, what is their profile, what is their behavior like. Quite often in Gmail also, if you notice, if you're always logging in from Bangalore and suddenly you go to say Delhi and then you try to log in from a new computer, then Gmail sends a message saying, "Hey, are you sure this is you?"
Yes.
So you can have certain patterns and behaviors, and then you can identify whether this person is actually the person that they are claiming to be or somebody who has taken over the account. So you authenticate that person. After authenticating, you have the authorization part. What I mean by that is, let us say in a team, two people are having the privileges to access a machine. That doesn't mean that the two people are same. One person might be a specialist or an SME, so who can, let us say, create a database, modify a database, delete a database. Another person might be a newcomer, or who might be learning how databases work. So that person need not have modified, delete, and destroy database access. So you can have different levels of authorizations for the same team members,
Okay.
or with the same level of authentication. So that is what I mean by authorization. So you have this difference in depth from edge all the way going to the application. You need to look at whatever levels you want to secure, and you should do everything, and then hope that you have done everything, and then prepare for security incidents. Because you have done all these things doesn't mean that you are safe and secure. You need to prepare for security incidents and have some mechanisms for defending against security incidents. What do I mean by that is, again, this is an automation. This is available in my Udemy course as well as in my GitHub. The example is something like, let us say somebody who goes and takes an S3 bucket and accidentally makes the S3 bucket public
Okay.
by changing the bucket policy. So if you know AWS, you have CloudTrail available for you.
Hmm.
CloudTrail is a log of all the events that is happening in AWS. Any API call that is made in AWS, you will have a log event. So in this case, the change is an update to the bucket policy. So I take this event and trigger an automation which will go ahead and check what was my previous bucket policy and what is my new policy. And is my new policy having any public privileges or a star privileges? So if it has a public privileges, it will revoke the permissions and put back the old policy. So now
Okay.
you see security, I'm defending in real time
Hmm.
against an bad configuration.
Okay.
I can apply the same logic for an EC2 instance also. Let us say an EC2 instance is a very secure, nobody should log in kind of a secure EC2 instance, or nobody except from Bastion host. And a new engineer accidentally applies a security group, making it open to the world.
Hmm.
So this also will be logged in CloudTrail. So I can pick it up from CloudTrail and check what is the rule, what is the source IP address, what is the port, what is the protocol. So if it is like internet, it will be 000, and if it is let us say port 22 and not from my corporate network, then I don't want this rule to be in my security group. I want to revoke this. So
Okay.
I can write a lambda function or some kind of an automation that will go and revoke this rule. And if you can take this automation one step even forward and say that if this person who created this rule is trying to make this change again, I will revoke the permissions of that person also.
Okay. The
So
the
this
guy
way,
who did those
exactly,
changes. Okay.
exactly. Let us say person A is trying to behave in a suspicious manner. Constantly, they're trying to make non-compliant changes, then I will revoke the privileges of that person also, so that they cannot make any more changes.
Okay.
So, first we spoke about configuring your workloads securely. Now we are configuring. We're talking about defending against intrusions or defending against suspicious activity using CloudTrail, AWS Config, Lambda, and tools like GuardDuty. So
Okay.
you have these security mechanisms available. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just touching I'm just still scratching the surface. There is a lot of depth available in each of these topics, but this should be enough to get started.
Okay, okay. So it's kind of a common rule sets which we need to follow at security level.
Yes, yes. The basic logic, the one word or one line statement is defense in depth.
Okay, okay. Great. Yep. Then my next question is something like this. So whenever we are, what I can say, whatever is activities are happening, there are a lot of logs which will be triggered at AWS level. Okay, maybe it could be VPC logs or, as you said, CloudTrail logs, and where is there any tool to consolidate all these logs and give the proper, what I can say, some understandable knowledge, or do we need to dig into the each, what I can say, logs and understand is there any security violation?
Okay. Okay. It depends like, on what type of logging we're talking about. Today, you have CloudTrail, as you mentioned, is also
Mhm.
generating a lot of logs, and your ALBs also will generate some logs, VPC logs, DNS logs. So many logs are there.
Yes.
You have a native service called something called as a guard duty.
Okay.
If you go ahead and enable it in an account or in an organization level, what it does is at this moment, if I remember correctly, it digests VPC logs, DNS logs, and the CloudTrail logs, and gives you an intrusion detection alert.
Okay.
IPS IDS, as they call it. It already digests that. It uses machine learning. It has capabilities of correlating events from other activities. Like, for example, it is not just your account. If suspicious traffic of huge volume is coming from a particular IP address for multiple AWS accounts, GuardDuty will be able to correlate that and say there is a DDoS attack going on,
Mm-hmm.
and it will start flagging that as a DDoS attack and show it to you in your dashboard. So
Okay.
you have this built-in capability of a guard duty. But
Mm-hmm.
again, if you want to have highly customized only for your account, I want to monitor and I want to look at my ALB logs or my S3 logs or my CloudTrail logs, and you want to query it. Like, for example, did anybody log into my system at 10 o'clock on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have an answer to that question, then you need to do some work. So
Okay.
the most common way is, I mean, if you want to have that kind of a dynamic querying mechanism, then the most easiest way is ingesting all these logs into an Elasticsearch index, and then you can query them. Or if you don't want to have an free text search in Elasticsearch index running all the time, then you can also use, because all these logs are eventually stored in S3, what that means is you can query them directly using Ethina. So
Okay.
you go in Athena and write an SQL query with all the parameters that we spoke about, like someone from Sunday last week, and then time period is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then these are the workloads with these are the tags. Then
Okay.
Athena we can go ahead and query all the logs and give you a result. So it depends upon what is your operational model. Like, do you want to query in a free text way, or do you want to query in SQL manner, or do you want to create a real-time dashboard with constantly updating responses or alerts want to be configured? Then you go ahead and different tools are available.
Okay. Okay. So if we need the basic set of investigation, maybe guard duty does help. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. Guardity is a very good starting point, I would say.
Okay.
And from that point onwards, then you can go ahead and use, for example, most companies, as on today, in my opinion, will have some kind of a firewall or not firewall. I'm talking about antivirus.
Mm.
If you're running VMs particularly,
Mm,
you will have an antivirus, particularly if there is a Windows machine, almost guaranteed that you will run some kind of an antivirus.
true.
And not just an antivirus, you will also have some kind of an vulnerability checking software.
Mm, mm.
Uh, the native solution is something called as AWS Inspector.
Okay.
You will want to run Inspector. And why I'm talking about these two services are, or these two products are, these are also some services that generate events and alerts. Like if you have a virus, you want somebody to look into that, right? You want to bring that into a centralized dashboard. Or if
Okay.
you have a vulnerable software running somewhere in your application, you want somebody to take action. So you need to have mechanisms to correlate all these things from different sources. And you don't want your security teams to have 10 different dashboards
Okay.
for they don't want to go for alerts in one dashboard and vulnerability management in another dashboard and intrusion detection in another dashboard. You want to correlate everything in one place and make it easy for them to work.
Okay.
So this is where AWS Security Hub comes into picture.
Okay.
So Security Hub tries to bring all these different pieces, whether it is Guard Duty or Inspector or Trend Micro for antivirus. It tries to bring in everything into one place and tries to show you, saying, "Hey, these are the accounts that you have, and these are the resources, and in these accounts, and out of this 100 resources, two are non-compliant. Go and check them in
Okay.
all in one place."
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a big enterprise, I would really encourage them to go ahead and look into Security Hub and see if that satisfies the one dashboard scenario that they're looking for.
Okay. Okay. Well, lot to know even in the security. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a continuous inspection even we need to do, even though we have the proper tools. If we don't know how to use it, again, it is a mess up.
I would totally agree with you there. And also, security is not something that is like I can ever say I am done with security. Like I have secured my house.
Yeah.
It's like think of it, right? We all check after closing the door and locking it. We all just pull the lock and see, yeah, did I lock it correctly? Or
Yes.
even in a car, we do that, right? We close the door, we lock the car, and then we just try to open the door again,
Mm, mm.
just to be sure.
Yes.
That is how you want to treat your workloads also, because today your banks are in on the cloud,
Mm.
not just in the cloud. Let us say servers,
Okay.
your bank is running there, your identity government also has so much of identity on the cloud. So you as a virtual person exist on the cloud, so you want to secure it with the best mechanisms and tools you have, and you can never say that I am done with it, because new threats are always coming. And recently, about last week, I think there was a one particular Microsoft product had a security breach.
Okay.
And the funny thing was the cloud version of it was not impacted. Only the installed versions, like you and me, will have a laptop, and if you have an installed version of that software, you are impacted. The reason for that is when you are use a cloud version, the service provider will update it much before than anybody else. But
Okay.
if it is on a laptop, the responsibility of updating the software from version A to B is on the person who is using it.
Yes.
And quite, in my experience, whenever I go to a service owner or manager and ask for a downtime to update something, they'll be like, "Can it wait?
Mm.
How long can we wait? How
Yes.
much is the downtime?" Nobody asks the question about what will happen if I don't patch. Very rarely that I have heard that question, but that is not the first question that I get.
Okay. Okay.
So security has to be in the focus for everybody. That's my humble opinion.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, one more question. See, now once we started moving to the security, we can able to hear there is a lot of incident. Was it occurring even though it was in the data centers, or due to what I can say, the what I can say information what we consume, we could able to see these kind of security incidents recently.
Well, in my opinion, the the threats have always remained the same.
Mm-hmm.
Or now the access to threats have increased also with the availability of cloud.
Mm-hmm.
But the mitigations also has grown to a much bigger scale, because today, for example, I spoke about CloudFront.
Mm-hmm.
CloudFront is a managed service which is distributed across the world with multiple edge locations.
Okay.
if you are deploying an application and you want to have that kind of a scale for your application, it is almost impossible to have that many edge locations and proxies. So cloud in a way allows you to defend yourselves much better than you can defend yourselves in on-premise.
Okay, okay.
So
So,
the threats have remained the same, but you have much better tools at your disposal to defend yourselves.
okay, okay. Got you. All right.
One last. I know I'm extending this question. Well, the one last thing is I just thought about it. I remember automation or trying to automate an in on-premise used to be so much difficult,
Okay.
particularly if you are from a GUI-based administrative background.
Mhm.
You move your mouse to click on things and then get things done.
Yes.
And if you ask somebody to do it on 10 different servers and 20 different locations, that is like 200 actions.
Mm.
So that is not going to scale very well, right? And when you're trying to do 200 actions, there is always going to be a mistake. But
Mm.
in the cloud, everything, almost everything is through the internet, right? Or through an API, basically.
Yes, yes.
Because it is through an API, you can automate it.
True,
And
true.
and because it is through an API, not only you're able to automate, you can log every API call, like who made a call, from where, and what time.
Mm.
And these are all excellent information to during a security event.
Okay, okay.
Because if let us say somebody's laptop is unlocked and somebody using a GUI, somebody can move the mouse, click on something, and go away. I don't know who clicked what,
True.
or if there were two people sitting in the laptop, I don't know.
Mm.
Of course, there will be an identity will be there, but I cannot clearly say what was done on the GUI.
Yes, agreed. Got you. Okay, with that, maybe personally, what I feel that even the security tools, what is available on the cloud, okay, we can easily integrate one with the other. Maybe either automation or pulling some information from other location could be easy comparatively data centers, because each one will be maintained by someone else and getting access takes ages.
Yep, yep.
Mm. Okay, yeah. With that context, one last question on security. Before I ask that question, for the people who are in the live session, this question for you guys. Have you come across any security incident when you are working on either cloud on premises? If you wish to share, please let us know in the comments, so that it's like a security, hash security you can add, so that we can come to know that what kind of incidents you came across. Yep. Next, Kumar, this question is which is going to helpful for our community who is working on AWS. So some quick checks if they want to do at the security level. Okay, it's like a more generic I can ask. So if they want to today after this session, I can call it as a takeaway. What they can check once they go back from this session if they want to check in their infrastructure.
Okay. Again, the same thing is the first thing is to go and look at your security groups. Go and look at your access keys and secret keys. Are you rotating them? Do you have a password policy? And if you have a password policy, are you rotating your passwords? And if you have databases, are they publicly accessible or privately accessible? Or if you have an web apps layer 3-tier server, is your security groups configured so that the web only talks to app and app talks to database? So these are a few things that I would like. These are the top check marks. These are not
Okay.
the only check marks. These are the top check boxes I would ask anybody to go and look.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because
of course, yeah, I should not forget this. So this is very, very common. Check your S3 buckets. Don't make them public unless they should be.
mm, okay. Yep. Thanks for
And
that.
I'm
Go
still
ahead.
seeing the screen for what tools and services. Are you on the same screen or just to
Y-
be sure?
Yes, I'm in the same screen, of course, because I
Okay,
don't
okay.
think so. I have added any other question on security, so I'm trying to extract as much as information I can on security.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay. Now next question comes over here. Okay, we are moving a bit on security to uh, FinOps. Okay, this is the new term I could able to hear nowadays. Okay, maybe financial operations I can talk. So, do you have any light on how the financial what I can say FinOps does work, and is there any what I can say job opportunities going forward we can get in the finance operations?
Okay. As our industry, this IT industry is growing rapidly, there is no shortage of terminologies and abbreviations.
True.
That is what I. That is what, like I didn't know there was something called as a DevOps 10, 15 years back.
Yes.
That makes me feel like a dinosaur, but still, I didn't know there was even a DevOps term. And then there was, for some time, there was a no ops.
Yes.
I don't even still don't know what is no ops. So now it is FinOps. So yes, I have heard of this term. Just before going and answering this term, let me give you some background. It's like
Hmm.
when I wanted 5 years back, I wanted to commission something. Not 5 years back, it was sometime close to 10 years back. I wanted to commission a server on a data center. This was a Windows machine, Intel hardware. I mean, Intel processors, IBM hardware, Windows operating system with the DVD drives for boot drives and everything. So by the
Okay.
time I ordered and commissioned, not even commissioned, I got the approvals. It was almost 2 months just getting the budget approved.
Okay.
That is the real part because the HBA card was like 1,500 pounds or euros. I don't remember exactly, somewhere around that. Dual port HBA adapter. For people who might not know what is an HBA adapter, it's a host bus adapter for SAN connection or network attached storage. I mean, storage attached network. Anyway, point is you need to get this hardware, find out the cost, then get it approved by somebody, then you go and make an order. So you will always have this person sitting in your organization somewhere managing the cost, whether
Okay.
it is in on-premise or in the cloud.
Hmm.
So there is always a procurement department who will manage the cost for you. Uh, and today, this cost management aspects in the cloud is changed slightly because you're no longer buying hardware, but rather you're buying services, which is consumption basis.
Yes.
What that means is you run a server for 2 days and then you shut it down. You still get a bill.
Mm.
You don't pay for the hardware, but you get a bill. So you need to find a way, new ways of managing this cost in the cloud. So this is where this FinOps comes into picture. It's a short for cloud finance management, or that is the best way I can describe. You want to bring some accountability on the variable spend. Like we always talk about cloud as a capex versus opex, operational expenses. So you
Hmm.
want some accountability or you want some way to control this operational expenditure, and that is where FinOps comes in. And this is not going to go away, right? It's money is there always, and
True.
wherever money is there, you need somebody to manage it, and you need somebody to save it as well.
Okay.
So if you the other part of the question, right, whether there is a future for this,
Yes.
as long as cloud is not free, there is a future.
Okay. Got you. Maybe in other ways, procurement in the cloud is FinOps.
Yeah, that would not be a bad way to put it.
Okay. Got you. All right. So anyway, we are talking about finance. Nowadays, okay, managing our cloud services became most challenging stuff now, because initially we were evaluating how to use the services. Now it's time to optimize how we are using our services. That level we are going, sorry. Anyway, we are still evaluating different services, but managing those resources properly is also a became a skill nowadays. So if you would like to share such kind of skill, okay, even your customers may come and ask you that, okay, how I can reduce the cost to what I can say leverage that into the further growth of their business. So what kind of suggestions do you give, or have you seen what I can say any incidents where it is consuming too heavy, or how you can reduce that cost? So can you share some light on this topic?
Yeah, yeah. This is before joining this call, I was in a customer call.
Okay.
And this exact topic was discussed. Hey, can you help me reduce my cost? For example, I'm having more CloudWatch cost. I am having more EFS storage cost. I am having more FSX cost, or I'm having more S3 cost. You just rename the any service. I'm having X service cost. Reduce it. That is this question is not going to go away in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many ways to look at it. First of all, let us talk about the default or most easiest options.
Mm-hmm.
In your cost explorer today, Amazon itself offers some cost optimization recommendations. Particularly compute will be your most assuming you are not a streaming company, compute will be your more expensive cost of all things. What I mean by compute is EC2 instances or containers or lambdas. This is what I mean by compute, whether EM or EFS. So if you launch an instance, Redshift or whatever,
Mm.
that is you're going to pay quite a lot. And let us say, for a simple calculation, if $100 is your bill, almost $60-70 will go for EC2 instances. Rest of all cost like storage and the backups and networks will be the remaining $20-30. So let us talk about saving the where the most impact is. The compute optimizer or AWS compute optimizer gives you good recommendations on which instances are oversized, which instances are underutilized, and what instances you can go downsize to, for example. So if you're running like an 20 CPU machine and using only 1% of the CPU, then you don't need a 20 CPU machine. You probably need an half a CPU machine. You
Okay.
can downsize it to that one. So that is for the downsizing part. There are use cases where you will have to run it. For example, you have a business application, you need to run it 24/7, and you will have some spiky workloads or some constant workloads like 20 CPU, all the 20 CPUs are using, then you need to pay that cost, right? There is no way you can downsize it.
True.
So that is where reserved instances comes into picture. Basically, reserved instances are nothing but you pay Amazon money saying, hey, I'm going to use these instances for next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
What discount you can give me? So use Amazon will say, give me all the money upfront for the for the first 3 years. I will give you some discount of 70%.
Okay.
It's very similar to what we all do in real life, right? If you pay upfront all cash, you get some discounts. Whether you're buying a car or a house, we all know this.
Yeah, it's like a sure business.
Exactly. So reserved instances makes fantastic sense. Today, there is a variation of reserved instances called as the savings plans. One big difference is savings plans offers a lot of flexibility. Earlier, reserved instances were tied to instance types and then regions and availability zones, blah, blah, blah. There were a lot of limitations were there. There are convertible reserved instances, things like that. But savings plans takes away all of these limitations and makes it very, very simple. You say, per hour, I'm ready to pay you $10. I might use it for an EC2 instance, or I might use it for a container. I might use it for a Lambda function. You just pay me $10. I will give you 70% discount. That is how savings plans works.
Okay.
As simple as that. So this is on optimizing your cost, running cost. But is there other places? Yeah, you can look at storage is another area where you can optimize your cost. For example, people take a lot of snapshots and backups of EBS volumes. And
Mm.
over a period of time, they become proliferating. And sometimes, even I had this problem of 5-6 years back. I wrote an automation which ended up creating 10,000 snapshots. Of course, the snapshots are incremental, but still you will have 10,000 snapshots in your account.
Mm.
So you don't need 10,000 snapshots. You might not even need 5,000 snapshots. So you need to see how many snapshots you need for your application so that you can meet your backup and recovery needs. And then you can remove all those old snapshots.
Okay.
It is not just a EBS volume snapshot. It can be an RDS snapshot. It can be a snapshot of an EFS. So there are many snapshots. So I'm just using a general terminology as snapshots, meaning
Okay.
basically backups. So you look at old backups, clean them up. And then you also have, say, for example, your workloads is Monday to Friday workload and 9 to 5 workload.
Mm.
Nobody uses it in the evening. Nobody uses it in the weekend. Then you can have something called as an EC2 instance scheduler.
Mm-hmm.
What this means is you can shut down the machines when you're not using it in a configurable manner. And then you can bring up the machines whenever you need them. So that is
O-
another way you can reduce cost. So this is like a top of the list checkboxes. There are many others are there, but if you start with this, you are already making significant progress.
Okay. So mostly CPU and storage could be the most consuming part, if I
Yeah,
am
yeah,
understanding correctly.
yeah,
Okay,
correct.
great. Okay, and my next question is again on cost optimization. Is there any tool which gathers this information and gives some kind of analysis?
Yeah, that is what I mentioned, right? The Cost Explorer, AWS Cost Explorer itself
Okay,
has the recommendations built into it. If you open the Cost Explorer, the left hand side, you will find recommendations as a link on the left hand side. If you click on that, it will give you what is your instance size, what you need to buy so that you can reduce cost.
okay,
And
okay.
then you also have the compute optimizer also as an option there that is also by default available. This is native, but
Mm-hmm.
if you want to have multiple accounts, multiple clouds, then you can go with third-party solutions. There are many out there: Cloud Checker, Cloud Health, blah blah blah. So, these are the two names that I can remember, but there are many other tools available which can do the same thing for you.
Okay, so now people are coming with separate tools to manage the cost optimization as well then.
As I said, as long as cloud is not free,
Of
there
course,
is a business there.
got you. All right. Okay. My next question, yep. This is what I'm getting confused a bit. So you are talking about a lot of services, right? Okay. Now, maybe in the point of audience prospect, okay, does it matter how many services do you need on AWS, or how many uh, should I need to know all the AWS services?
Wow, that is like knowing, going to a library and asking, should I read all the books? Uh,
Okay,
that's you, you choose what you need and you consume only what you need. You
okay,
don't need everything, and nobody almost except Jeff Bezos, maybe because he owns the company. I don't think so. Anybody needs everything.
okay, okay.
So my short answer is no.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, it does not matter how many services you know. For example, S3 itself, last week also I mentioned this. S3 is one of my favorite services, and I don't think so. There is, except for the people who created S3, even I doubt that anybody knows the depth of S3.
mm-hmm. Okay,
Uh, so what I mean by that is, if you know one service, try to know or a few services like say compute one service in EC2 or container or storage S3 or a database RDS or Dynamo. Pick one in these layers: compute, storage, network, and databases. One service in these layers,
mm-hmm,
and know them at a good level. When I say good level, like you should be able to launch it, you should be able to troubleshoot it, you should be able to fix a problem at a basic level.
okay,
Then you are good to start your career in AWS.
mm-hmm.
Will it be sustainable after 5 years? I don't know. Will it be sustainable in this 6 months? Definitely yes.
Okay, okay, got you. So it's like whenever common services which is required to manage the infrastructure that we must know, and added to that one maybe experience maybe asks us to learn the new service.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Once you get into an let us say an organization, you will
Hmm.
most probably want to satisfy the organization needs. Of course, you will have your own learning needs. Like you will have some interest. Let us say your company is a bakery, for example.
Mm.
They make bread. They sell bread online also. They're not suddenly going to launch EMR cluster tomorrow. You
Okay.
will you are not going to need to launch an EMR cluster. Maybe they are a super big bakery. They do a lot of analytics to decide what is the bread, or what kind of grains they want to use. But it is most probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, so you read only what you need, and then you choose only what you need.
Okay, got you. Okay, I think with that I can say I have discussed all the technical questions. From now onwards, I will be talking little bit of the generic questions. Okay,
Mhm.
so with that, it could be having everybody's mind. Few people may be having some years of experience in the native infrastructure, like on premises or some databases or some operating system, and now they want to move on to the cloud. Okay, so such kind of experience have so many people. Now if I ask that question to you, okay, you if I as per my understanding, or as per previous session what you talk, so you came across from the Wintel background to AX to AWS. So this is how your career path has moved, right? So is your previous experience is helping in the current role? Are you able to use that experience over here?
That is an excellent question. Uh, and this also another question that I feel is never going to go away. And what I mean by that is your experience never goes away. Your
Okay.
experience stays with you irrespective of whatever domain you choose, at least if you're staying in the IT industry.
Mm,
Oh, because even when I was doing a lot of administrative work, I was always interested in automating my activities. Whether it is as simple as creating an user ID in 100 Linux servers, I was trying to see can I SSH into all of those machines and run a bash script.
okay.
And I wouldn't say that I never made a mistake. I also screwed up so many times. Uh, but at the same time, I learned a lot in how to write robust automation. I'm talking about a era or a time when I'm not in the cloud. I'm just still logging into not EC2, logging into PuTTY terminals and other terminals into servers and creating user IDs or resizing file systems or updating patches.
Okay.
So each of- I try to automate all those things. So those kind of thinking of trying to reduce your work or trying to reduce your manual effort or trying to reduce errors has translated into the cloud.
Okay.
So today when I look at AWS, I don't even think about automating my user ID creation, right? Because user ID creation is almost either you use an Active Directory or a SAML or IAM roles.
Mm,
So I just need to provision the roles and then put the people into a group and automatically they will be able to get the privileges. Or if it is a patching, I have SSM automation available or patch manager available. There are different patch management softwares available in the cloud. Or
okay.
provisioning servers, right? Fundamental thing.
Mm,
Even when we had an IBM, the LPAR concept was there. You still need to go into, if I remember the terminology, it is called a HMC.
yes.
And if I remember, the previous HMC versions were having a thick client. By the time you open the thick client, it will be 10 minutes
True.
and your laptop will hang. Your
Yeah.
laptop will hang. You can literally go to, have a coffee by the time you have the HMC client and
Mm,
then start building your server in the HMC.
yes.
Today, I write one CloudFormation template and then today I want to run another server. I just run it again. Maybe I will change few parameters, but the template remains the same. And I will have a coffee when the server is booting up, not when the tool to bring up a server is booting up.
Yes. Yes. True.
So the tools are never going. I mean, the experiences never go away.
Okay.
The way I do things are changed, but what I do is almost remain the same, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Got you. So experience, there is no go away of experience. Whatever we learn then.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Maybe I can put it this way. I don't run a uname hyphen a command. For people are Linux people are there, they will know. I don't run that anymore. Or ls hyphen l is another command that I don't run it much more. I'm happy about it, but I'm not sad about it.
Yeah, I can understand. As a system administrator background.
Yes. Like the number of times I had a penny for every ls hyphen l, I would have been a very rich person.
True. Okay, got you. And I think I have asked this question in our previous live stream. Okay, so I'm skipping this. That is, if I have only AWS knowledge, will I get a job? Maybe you can check out that. And yep, this is one more generic question I'm asking. What kind of tools do you use in day-to-day life or to work with AWS Architect role? Or what kind of things you do or you use?
Okay. This is this has evolved over a period of time.
Okay.
So I will talk about what I'm using today because that is what is most relevant, I guess.
Yes.
Today, I spent quite a lot of my time in Visual Studio Code. For people who don't know what is Visual Studio Code, it is a simple, let us say, notepad on steroids. I
Okay.
can write Python code, or I can write a YAML code. I can write JSON, JavaScript. I can also configure it to interact with my AWS environment because I can configure my AWS CLI. That is another tool. AWS CLI, you need to have it installed on your laptop if you're working on AWS, whether it is Windows or Linux. So with your CLI configured with your access keys and secret keys or roles, I can allow my Visual Studio Code to deploy CloudFormation templates or CDK templates. The CDK is not a template, but using CDK to deploy CloudFormation templates into AWS. So within one environment, I'm talking about using it as a notepad. I'm talking about writing on provisioning code. I'm talking about deploying it to AWS. Uh, so that is one tool that is like almost always open, apart from a browser, of course.
Okay.
And and there are a few other tools I use. There are specialized tools like I quite often use a Stack Overflow for stealing code. Let us admit it, everybody has done that. Stealing code or commands, however you call it, or sometimes to just validate some answers. Some idea will come to my mind, and I want to see if anybody else had the same question, and if anybody else is having the same answer that I am thinking as the answer. So Stack Overflow helps to validate some thinking process. I'm not going to say I will take a Stack Overflow and run it immediately on my production server. I will see whether that makes sense, try and evaluate it, and then put it in production. So don't take it as an advice saying, yeah, Stack Overflow is the correct answer. Almost always the first answer is wrong in Stack Overflow, I guess. So, another place that I use regularly is GitHub
Mm-hmm.
because I document almost everything I do, and I follow the logic that if you write something, what you learn, you remember it better.
Yeah. Good
So
point.
I go ahead and document almost everything, every demo I write, I try it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there is this boring tool. I think I spoke about this last week also. The boring tool called PowerPoint.
Yeah. True.
So when I'm writing my courses or when I'm creating my blogs and GitHub, I need some images.
Mm.
So I use PowerPoint for creating my images. And of course, it is, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So when you try to put your logic or the flow into your thought process into a diagram, it makes it much, much, much more clearer.
Okay.
Uh, so I use PowerPoint for that. So just to summarize, AWS CLI, Visual Studio Code, GitHub, Stack Overflow. These are the common tools that I use. And of course, I have Python installed. I have a few other programming languages also installed in my laptop.
Okay. So with that context, I can say that you will do lot of coding in your day-to-day basis.
Yeah, yeah, yes, because in the last 1.5 years, I stopped provisioning infrastructure using the console.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the console only for two things today. If something is not working, I go and check the console. Or
Mm-hmm.
if I cannot deploy it through CloudFormation, then I can go ahead and do it. For example, right now, yesterday also somebody cloned a repository from my account. There is a new service called Glue Elastic Views.
Okay.
And I was trying it out, or I was just poking around that service, and then I wrote the steps that I learned in my GitHub repository. And this is a preview service. It is not even generally available. You need to go and whitelist your account to get it approved, and then blah blah blah. You
Mm-hmm.
get it. Why I'm saying this is there is no cloud formation support. You can only do it through console.
Okay. Okay.
So if you ask me, I'm writing a code. Maybe not, but yeah, for cloud formation, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And thanks for that sharing about your tools. And now this question is for community. Okay. What is your favorite tool or what you mostly work in your day-to-day life? Okay. please mention in the comment section. So sorry, comment section. So even we will come to know. Okay, with that, I'm moving to the next one. I think you have partially answered this. So what is your place, or if you struck up somewhere, where do you go and find out your answers?
Okay. Yeah, that is a very good question. Okay. I already mentioned about Stack Overflow, but that is not the only place, right? You can get information.
Yeah.
And uh, I will not deny saying this. I sometimes go and watch my own videos in YouTube.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
so that is the whole reason you document it, right? You want to remember something.
Yes,
And you also write down something because you know that you'll forget something, and you know your notes are better than what official documentation is because this is your version of writing it. So
customization.
I, exactly, you know what your mind likes, and you pick up those elements and document it.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
so so I use my not once. There are many times. For example, this is a perfect example. I can say somebody was asking me 2 weeks back, how do I copy encrypted S3 objects from one account to another account? It is not working. Basically, replication is not working.
mm-hmm,
And when I heard this question, I was like, yeah, it should work. Let me think. And
mm-hmm.
then I started Googling.
Okay.
I know it should work, but I don't know the like you don't remember the exact steps on all the commas and full stops, right? You know broadly it works as a concept, but
Mm-hmm.
if you want to reproduce it, you want to know exactly the sequence of steps. I googled it for immediate answer. Then guess what? Google gave me my own video as an result. And then I checked the video. It was like 6.5 minutes. Okay, I can invest 7 minutes of my time, and
Mm-hmm.
since it is my own video, I can watch it at full speed or at twice the speed.
True.
So within 3 minutes, I got the answer, and then I told the person, "Hey, this is how it works."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I felt it's like I'm like a Superman. Within 3 minutes, I can answer a complex question.
Okay, okay. Great, great to know. So you sometimes even you follow your documentation. Okay.
Yes, yes, of course. There are documentation or there are videos. Let us say it is outdated,
Mm-hmm.
but quite a majority of them are still relevant. It's like your skills, right? You once you do it, you know the basic idea. You can just change whatever is not working into whatever is changed.
Okay, okay. So
Like
Google is your best friend then,
yeah, yeah.
whenever you want to
That's what I
find out.
mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
When I didn't know something, Stack Overflow, Google, YouTube, and official docs. Never ever forget official docs.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the holy Bible because there are so many times I've spent 2 or 3 days digging into an issue, and then I just missed reading one line in the official documentation, and that is why I'm troubleshooting. So, so
Okay.
when nothing else works, official documentation is the answer.
Okay, yeah, even I do such kind of things sometimes. Like I will try to deploy the code which is there in the GitHub without reading the README file.
Correct.
Mm,
Yeah. So this almost always happens. I think this is also another thing that will never go away as long as the people are learning new things.
yes. Okay, great. So next my question. Okay, this again repeated question. Sorry for that. Okay. Yep. This could be my next question. Who is best fit if somebody want to become an AWS architect? Because you are already in that position. Maybe if you want to give some suggestions, who can able to achieve this one? What could be your answer?
Um, okay, this will be a very opinionated answer. It's
Yes.
my view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if you ask the same question to another person, most probably the answer might be different.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally, in my opinion, you should be a problem solver at heart. You need to be a builder at heart. Like if somebody comes and says a very high level line saying that, hey, I want to build this,
Mm-hmm.
or let us say I have a DNS issue. Instead of looking at that issue, then you start digging into that
Mm-hmm.
statement. It's like, what were you doing before? How did
Okay.
you solve this before? How can you remove this problem or fix this problem with the tools that are available to you. What tools that are available to you? So basically, that's what in one line. If you love problem solving
Okay.
or issue resolving,
Mm.
then you are excellent person to fit into an architect role. It doesn't mean that you need to know all the underlying services that are underlying tools that are required to solve the problem, but you should know that you can combine them in different ways or combine people who have the skills in different ways to solve that problem. Then you are amazingly fit for an architect role. So in short, you can be an system administrator today and you can become an architect tomorrow. You can be a database administrator today or a DBA developer and you can become an architect. So it does not matter where you come from. It's just
Okay.
that you need to have the passion to take a bigger problem, break it down into smaller pieces, build it, and fight with it until you get it resolved and see the end result.
Okay. Great motivational answer. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. Yep. Next would be more like a connecting way I'm talking. So, what kind of mediums do you use to share your knowledge? Okay. I know that you are using multiple, but just for benefit of audience, I'm asking this question.
Okay, I think this question or this topic can be better answered by throwing links at the people. I
Yeah,
already
maybe.
shared the link for my Udemy profile in the chat
Chat
window. Once
window.
again,
Yes.
I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Udemy. I'm starting with Udemy. This is not the only place, but let us talk about what is in Udemy.
Mm-hmm.
CDK is. I'm a big fan of CDK, irrespective of how people think it is in a very opinionated way. But I love CDK because you can write cloud formation in any of the programming languages like Python, Java, TypeScript, JavaScript, Node.js. And, so many different languages are supported, not Node.js, but anyway, 5 to 6 languages are supported. You write cloud formation, and literally almost all AWS services are supported. And then it's super easy to troubleshoot when something goes wrong, or you can deploy it because almost all the automations that you've seen in my GitHub, the next place where I share things,
Mm-hmm.
is written in CDK, and I tested with people from different countries.
Okay.
What that happen means is, let us say I give it to you. When
Mm-hmm.
you deploy it, you most probably will set up your account to Mumbai region as their default home region, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like from India, Mumbai is the most closest region you want to reduce latency. And if I ask somebody in the US to test it, they will most probably test that automation in Virginia or West Coast somewhere. Or if I ask somebody in Europe to test it, maybe Sweden or Paris or Frankfurt, some region. So what this means is all this CDK, cloud development kit, that's what a CDK means. Uh, these templates are tested in different regions and they have been proven to be so robust. Nothing
Okay.
is broken, or
Mm.
at least when the code was released and tested. So that is the reason I love it. Multiple regions, multiple different people trying and poking around that code, and it still works. So that is, I written a course on this, how to start with CDK, how to go ahead and build your own code in Python. That is very important. You need to know a little bit of Python before you start. Of course, if you know Java or TypeScript or JavaScript, you can do the CDK in that languages also. So, and another couple of courses are into security, mainly around security automation. We talked about incident response, right?
Yeah.
When an EC2 instance is compromised, how do you defend against that? What actions do you take? If your bucket is compromised, how do you defend that?
Mm.
Or if you have a company-wide policy saying all my EBS volumes have to be encrypted, I want to find out which volumes are not encrypted. How do you
Mm.
do that?
Mm.
This is a very English question, right? Instead of saying EBS volumes, I will rather say all data has to be encrypted at rest. This is how a security requirement from a business customer will come.
Okay.
So from this point to how do you go ahead and doing it in AWS? That is what I've shown in that other course. Again, this is also fully automated with CloudFormation. Almost all my courses are with automation, not manual cloud-based click, click, click. I do not do that. So there are there's another course on security overview, purely just talking,
Mm-hmm.
just gives you an idea on all things. So that is on Udemy. And I already spoke about my GitHub repositories, right? So I spend quite a lot of time trying to document what I learn in GitHub. That is another place I share almost all my learnings. The
Mm-hmm.
link is also there in the chat window. And finally, of course, people who are here who are familiar with my voice, then uh, YouTube. Uh, There are a significant number of my videos are there in Valaxy channel. Either if you go and search for Valaxy AWS or go and check in the playlist, you will find us quite a lot of them in AWS security, AWS automation, playlist, even introduction to AWS courses as a private playlist. So it's all 5, 6 years back, but still you have them there.
Okay.
So let us say these are all the places that I would, of course, ThinkFig, right? You want to talk about that? That is also another platform we have and where we have it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. And yep, for the interest of time, I'm just going to share the ThinkFig, that is Valaxy dot
Yeah, let
fig
me
dot
grab
tech.
that link and update it here.
Yep, I have done it. Okay. So, okay, is there anything you can share what you are learning at this moment? Quite quick because we are ran out of time.
Okay, what am I learning right now?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a couple of new services that have been launched in AWS, particularly using Redshift for doing machine learning.
Okay.
So you don't need to know anything about machine learning. That's what their promise is.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know SQL, that is good enough. So you have 10 columns and you go to Redshift and say, hey, I want you to predict what will be the value for the 10th column. So
Okay.
uh, so let us say you have a database of customer reviews for a website. For example, let us say you're selling books and everybody's writing reviews of books or products, and then you want to predict whether the product rating or you want to predict whether the sentiment of that book is positive or negative.
Okay.
So so you can go ahead and say, this is the column I want to predict, the emotion column or ratings column, and then Redshift can do that automatically for you. Basically, they use SageMaker Autopilot on the background, but you don't need to know any of them. You just go ahead and write a SQL query saying, predict column number 10. And I'm
Okay.
ready to pay. I'm ready to wait 30 minutes for training time. And after that, I will start predicting. As simple as that. So that's what I'm learning today, or
Mm-hmm.
not learning. I've started learning yesterday or day before yesterday. I'm just playing around with the cluster now.
Okay. Great. And okay, this is almost we covered. Okay, what is your advice for upcoming AWS architects? Is there any quick things you would like to add?
One thing, never stop learning. And if you think that you're bored or if you don't know what to learn, as I mentioned the last week, you can reach out to me
Mm-hmm.
anytime, either in the chat or either in the comments, or write an email to us, or go to GitHub and send me an issue or a pull request. And of course, I already mentioned it. The real-time use cases repository has a lot of hands-on exercises. Go ahead and try them, and never stop trying it out yourself. That would be my recommendation.
Yep. Great. Okay. Yep. With that, I think I can say we have almost done for today's session. And thank you so much for your time, Mr. Kumar, sharing some valuable information about around AWS. And also thank you very much for the guys who are strict with us until end of this session. And yep, if you have any doubts, maybe you can reach out to us through the Instagram, Facebook, or even YouTube. Okay, we are available on these mediums actively, so we will take up your queries and we can able to answer you. And also you can write it out to the valaxytech@gmail.com if you have any stuff you would like to share with us, or if you need any help from us. That's all from my side. Do you want to add anything as a final note, Mr. Kumar?
Nothing at this moment. First of all, thanks for everybody who has patiently listened to the last 1 hour or 1 hour plus. I really appreciate you deciding to spend the time with us. And we will most probably have another session in the coming week with a different topic, and most probably I will be hosting it, and we'll see you there again.
Yep. We'll see you there. Until then, bye bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you guys. Have a nice weekend.